And it's just that's a very silly thing that you think about right now, I guess. Can you believe it? I once considered him a friend, a teammate, but I never imagined he would betray me in such a cruel way. These are the words written in red ink in the surviving diary of Lee Marvin, the Hollywood legend, the symbol of strength and cold demeanor on the silver screen. He was always known as a calm man, rarely showing his emotions, but in these diary pages, everything changes. He writes about the painful betrayals that few knew about. A close friend, once his confidant, who betrayed him for money, causing him to lose valuable roles in his career. Another who imitated his acting style to steal the spotlight that should have been Marvin's. Even some people who would stop at nothing to get close to him. Before his death, Lee Marvin decided to speak out as his final confession, a man who had lived fully within the world of Hollywood. Now, we will turn back the pages of this story full of bitterness to understand the names that betrayed Marvin. Check 1. John Wayne, heroic icon or hypocrite? Hollywood in the 1960s was a place filled with big stars, classic films, and relationships full of tension. Among these, the story between Lee Marvin and John Wayne was not just a rivalry between two stars, but a battle between public image and the true character behind the scenes. Their clash began in 1962, when both starred in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Despite being two of Hollywood's most sought-after names, the relationship between Lee Marvin and John Wayne soon became strained. Upon the film's release, Marvin had to witness Wayne overshadowing him, taking the spotlight and making Marvin's role seem insignificant. According to industry sources, Wayne not only outshone Marvin in key scenes, but also did things that made Marvin feel disrespected and demeaned. They weren't just two actors on the same stage, they were two men with completely different perspectives and personalities. The feud between them went beyond the professional. Marvin, who had served in the military and had deep memories of war, could never forgive Wayne for dodging his military duty during the Vietnam War. While millions of young American men volunteered to fight, Wayne claimed health reasons to avoid serving. Marvin was furious. A man who avoided war yet built his public image as a hero, Marvin once said about Wayne. To him, Wayne's avoidance of duty was a betrayal not only to the country, but also to the comrades who bravely fought. But the animosity between them didn't stop at war. In the 1970s, John Wayne's public statements about race caused a major backlash. He declared, "The whole world should thank America for our leadership," implying that America had the right to dominate other countries. These remarks made Marvin, a man who had seen the horrors of war and the suffering of innocent people, unable to accept Wayne. On top of this, Wayne publicly expressed racist views in several interviews, further deepening the rift between him and Marvin. However, there was a little-known truth, a secret that only those in the industry understood. During the 1940s, when World War II was raging, John Wayne not only remained silent on political decisions, but also allied himself with conservative leaders who held controversial views in society. Wayne's silence during critical moments in the country's history only made Marvin feel more betrayed. According to renowned critics like Roger Ebert, who wrote about Wayne in the 1970s, Wayne was not only fake in his films, but also built a false hero image in real life. The relationship between Lee Marvin and John Wayne continued to grow more strained in the years that followed. Marvin could never forgive the arrogance and injustice that Wayne displayed during their encounters. On one occasion, at a party in Burbank, California in 1965, their conversation grew so tense that everyone around could feel the discomfort. Marvin, despite being a major star, never forgot what Wayne had done to him. At that party, when Wayne walked into the room, all eyes were on him, but Marvin quietly turned away without saying a word. This tension continued to spread beyond parties and meetings in the industry. The rivalry between them became an open secret that everyone in Hollywood knew but was never discussed publicly. Marvin never forgave Wayne, and their conflict wasn't just a dispute between two stars, it was a war between two completely different worlds. And the next story may shock you, as we will uncover a close friend of Lee Marvin, who also became part of the story full of conflict. Picture 2. Charles Bronson, the creator of Rumors and The Price of Betrayal. In April 1966, the set of The Dirty Dozen in Borehamwood, just outside London, brought together the most prominent male stars in Hollywood at the time. Director Robert Aldrich was aiming for a groundbreaking film, with Lee Marvin leading the cast alongside Charles Bronson, Jim Brown, and Donald Sutherland. But while the cameras were rolling on explosive action scenes, behind the scenes, a character assassination was quietly being planned, with Lee Marvin as the target. At that time, Marvin had just won an Oscar for Cat Ballou, 1965, and was a sought-after name in Hollywood. In contrast, Charles Bronson was still struggling with his image as the silent man, often relegated to supporting roles. However, according to the memoir Inside the Dirty Dozen by journalist Lew Wasserman, 1979, this power imbalance sparked Bronson's quiet ambition to overthrow the leader. It all began when Bronson, according to assistant director Jack Pomeroy, started whispering to the crew members that Lee Marvin was not sober during several takes, allegedly due to a heavy drinking problem. These whispers quickly spread throughout the set and eventually made their way to the American press just weeks later. An article in The Hollywood Reporter on May 12, 1966, hinted that a veteran actor from The Dirty Dozen is hindering production due to personal health issues. Although no names were mentioned, it was clear that the reference was to Marvin. What's notable is that according to the production supervisor's records, Marvin never missed a single shooting day. But the damage caused by the rumor was irreversible. Within 3 months, Marvin was dropped from 2 major projects: The Devil's Brigade from Columbia Pictures and Too Late the Hero, a war film backed by Jack L. Warner. Each contract cancellation was worth around $200,000, an enormous sum in the 19. Marvin's talent remained intact, but trust from the producers had been shaken. Meanwhile, Charles Bronson suddenly found himself in the spotlight. Following the success of The Dirty Dozen, Bronson received numerous offers from European directors. The pinnacle came with a $750,000 contract for Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, by Sergio Leone, 3 times the fee he had ever received before. From here, Bronson's image as the stoic hero gained international fame, but it was built on a foundation of calculated rumors. On a personal level, the friendship between Bronson and Marvin, if it could even be called a friendship, completely collapsed. According to Los Angeles Times reporter James Bacon, in a 1970 press conference in Beverly Hills, when asked about his relationship with Bronson, Marvin simply laughed bitterly and remained silent. Later, at a Paramount after-party, he left the moment Bronson entered the room. The event manager confirmed to the Hollywood Citizen News that Marvin didn't want to be in the same space as the one who stabbed him in the back. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. In addition to spreading rumors, Charles Bronson was also the center of many controversies behind the scenes. In 1984, his wife, actress Jill Ireland, appeared on the Merv Griffin show looking exhausted, with deep-set eyes. Rumors circulated that Bronson had neglected his wife during her cancer treatment. People magazine ran an investigative article titled "Behind the Stoic Face of Charles Bronson, 1985," revealing that Ireland had to undergo chemotherapy alone while Bronson stayed busy filming in Paris, only calling home to ask about the electricity bill. Not stopping there, Bronson was also accused by actresses like